What's up, YouTube? Welcome back to Celio's Network. I've had requests to do a deck profile tournament review type video for my NAIC deck that I played and placed top 128 with. We'll be doing post-rotation content probably starting the day after you see this video, but I wanted to get this out there so we can get into the new stuff for Worlds format and beyond. So this is the list that I went 6-3 with to place in the top 128 at NAIC, earning 100 championship points and earning my Worlds invite. We'll start off with the GX tag teams in the deck. So we got Reshizard, we have 2 of this, and then 1 of the Evilax. I went with just 1 Evilax because I figured fighting type techs would be more popular since they combat both Evilax and Pikarom. And also the 2 was better last week or a couple weeks ago because it was more of a surprise that there would be a second one, whereas now people are kind of expecting it. So I just stuck with 2 Reshi and 1 Evilax to give me more room for other stuff that I wanted. I cut the 1-1 Arcanine line or 2-2 Arcanine line. I didn't play any, as you can see on the screen. So my thoughts on that were that 2-2 Arcanine is taking up 4 slots in your deck for a potential of 2 attackers. I really wanted it for the Zapdos matchup, and versus that, if they Guzma Growlithe and we're not playing Rescue Stretcher, then that's 4 slots in your deck for just 1 attacker in a matchup that's already unfavored. And the Arcanine doesn't make it like crazy favored either, just having the 1. So I decided to go with a bunch of other 1 prize techs, which actually did very well in testing and suited me very well in the tournament. So we played 1 Shining Lugia with Argent Wing and Arrow Force. So Argent Wing can one-shot a Jirachi, a Hoopa, Spirit Tomb. What else did we see? A Miltank. With a Choice Band and Shrine, it can one-shot at Dedenne. And then Arrow Force OHKOs a bunch of things, including a Zapdos. We have a Turtonator. Explosive Jet can just do a bunch of damage while only being a non-GX Pokemon versus GX Pokemon. And it can also clear some energy off of your board if you're playing against Pikarom and you think that there's a Tapu Koko GX coming soon. And you don't want to get Guzma Tapu Koko'd. Then a Reshiram, which is really, really good versus Zapdos, and I used it in a handful of other games as well, just to like Guzma knock something out with Scorching Breath. And then, of course, the 2 Volcanion from Unbroken Bonds. Flare Starter is an amazing attack if you're going second. It's like okay if you're going first and using it on your second turn, but you don't really want to do that. And then High Heat Blast is perfect math versus Zapdos while they need 2 Electro Powers to knock you out in return. And then onto the support Pokemon, we have Miltank, which heals with Moo Moo Malt if Miltank is your active Pokemon. 3 Jirachi, a fourth Jirachi would have been nice, but 3 is fine. Stellar Wish is a really good ability, but I didn't want to be stuck with excess Jirachis throughout the game when I don't need them, so 3 was fine in testing and in the tournament. 2 Let Loose was pretty much needed, I think, for this tournament. Early game Let Loose is good against like Zoroark and Stall, and then like mid to late game Let Loose is good against everything. After you knock out something important, you also Let Loose in the same turn, so they're at a new hand of 4 with an important Pokemon not on the board anymore. Or you use it when you just need an extra card that you couldn't find with your other draw options, so Let Loose is kind of your last-ditch effort. And then Dedenne with Dede change to discard your hand, draw 6, which is a great burst of draw. And also Lele, which is really just here to help you find Kiawe turn 1 if you need it, or maybe a Guzma in the mid to late game on an important turn. So that's it for the Pokemon. For supporters, we have 4 Welder, which Fire decks kind of need, Reshi decks at least, kind of need the 4 Welder. It's super important. It's what makes this deck be able to pop off in addition to the Kiawe, of course. So we have 3 Kiawe. The supporter count here was toss up between 2 Kiawe, 4 Guzma, or 3 of each. I went with 3 of each because getting the early Kiawe is just insane. So search your deck for up to 4 fire energy, attach them to one of your Pokemon, then your turn ends. And then, of course, the 3 Guzma. And then I did not use Acrobikes in here since we had the Dedenne and the Jirachi. I just went heavier on the Kiawe and heavier on some of the other stuff. The 2 Fire Crystal and 2 Fiery Flint, which are in there for obvious reasons. We want to have our fire energy for Heat Factory and Welder and for just attaching for turn. 3 Nest Ball and 4 Ultra Ball. More Ultras than Nests, so the Ultras can find Marshadow, Dedenne, or Lele and then keep it in your hand to play it down. And it's also good for thinning out your hand and deck in the mid to late game when you're going to get let loosed or judged, or you're going to let loose yourself even. 4 Switch is great because of Jirachi. You need to switch that out after you use its ability, or switch into another Jirachi to use an additional Stellar Wish, or to switch into Miltank so you can attach, use Moo Moo Malt, and then switch back out. And that's the same reason why we have 2 Escape Boards as well. 1 Field Blower to get rid of things like opposing choice bands, or spell tags, or Shrines of Punishments. And then for our own offensive tools, we have 2 choice bands and a Shrine of Punishment. So Shrine of Punishment is a lot less common in this deck than in some other decks. Mostly, you'll usually find Shrine of Punishment in 1 prize variants or single prize attacker variants, but Shrine of Punishment really helps Reshizard's math. So with 230, you're OHKOing like Zoroark GX and friends, and then 230 plus choice band is 260, so with a Shrine tick you're also OHKOing opposing Reshis without using your GX attack. And without the choice band and just a Shrine, you're OHKOing Pikarom. Oh, and also when you're OHKOing a Reshi, that of course means you're OHKOing an Evilax as well. So the Shrine of Punishment and double choice band was absolutely huge this weekend, and I do not think my match record would have been the same or better without these cards in the deck. And last but not least is Heat Factory, since it allows you to discard a fire energy and draw 3 and 12 fire energy, which we need for the deck to do what the deck does. Needs fire energy. So I'll go over my 9 rounds real quick. This will be in more detail on flipsidegaming.com in a free article. But round 1, I won games 1 and 2 versus a Green's Gengar Mimikyu with Omastar that stops your opponent from using items. You can probably imagine how this went. I just used Kiawe and then said Flare Strike a couple times for the game. Round 2, I played against Burt Walters playing Green's Reshi. Game 1, I went early Kiawe, and then Guzma Choice Band Shrine to knock out a Reshi, and from there, he couldn't really respond to the aggression. Game 2, I did something fairly similar, except he was able to respond with a couple of Baby Volks, and I was not able to get Guzma's at the right time, and also he did not put down another Tag Team GX right away. He just sat behind a couple Baby Volks. Which was really good on his part, and he was able to take a knockout on a tag team, one prizer, and then Guzma, and use his Reshi's GX attack for game on my Dedenne GX that I had to put down on the bench. And then game 3, he dead drew off of his opening hand. He Pokegeared into Kukui, then Kukui, and then didn't get any extra Pokemon, so he just had a lone Baby Volk, and I went first, so Reshi knocked out the Baby Volk. Round 3 versus Spiritomb Umbreon. I won game 1 just because he was it was very inconsistent. He didn't have a good start. That deck can do that sometimes. He got off a couple attacks, but I think he scooped after a few turns. Just because he was whiffing energy every other turn, no draw supporters kind of thing. And then the next 2 games, he wiped me. It was just real bad, just like the deck is supposed to perform versus Reshizard. Since I have so many 1-prizers, I did hang in game 3. I actually had a little bit of a chance, but my attacks are so much less efficient since they need 1 energy on a Tomb or 1 energy on an Umbreon, and I need to attach then Welder, then get a backup for next turn. It's just a lot. And he never missed a beat. game 2 or 3, so I couldn't keep up with it. Round 4, I played against Anthony Bruno, playing Reshi Zard, Jirachi, but he also had a 2-2 Arcanine. In game 1, the 2-2 Arcanine won him the game. I was able to Guzma up a Reshi and take the first 3 prizes, but from there, I had to get through 2 more Arcanines, and it just wasn't happening, especially since I had to get through 2 more Arcanines and then knock out something else. He was able to take 3 prizes with an Arcanine and then take 3 prizes with a Reshi. Then game 2, he whiffed an attachment on his Arcanine, I believe, or actually a Growlithe. He could only welder 1 to it and then attach. So he attacked me with a Growlithe with Choice Band and then never got another Arcanine out. So he just kind of scooped in a game that was about to end like the next turn or so. And then game 3, I believe he just never really got set up. He was like digging through multiple Jirachis and Dedenne and Let Loose, and couldn't really establish a board of substance. So I just kind of ran through it with Reshi the way that Reshi does that. Round 5 was versus Plumestall, and I am not playing an Arcanine. I let loose and he drew out of it. Let loose drew out of it. Game 2, I started with a Marshadow, so I had 1 let loose, so I saved it till after Stevens resolved. I knocked out 3 Oddishes before he could finally get out of Plume, and then I lost. Round 6 versus Zap Beasts. I'm now 3-2. Zap Beasts, Logan Clark. I lost game 1. I wasn't able to efficiently chain my 1 prize attackers, and he had a very smooth Zapdos game. Game 2, he did not have a very smooth Zapdos game. I Guzma'd up his Jirachis, so he wasn't sending up Jirachis when I knocked something out, and I think he scooped around like turn 5 or so. Game 3 came down very close. He had 2 prizes left, and I had 3. He had a Tapu Koko GX active with 3 energy. He just knocked out a 1 prize Pokemon with it. And I send up a Reshi with 1 energy. That's my only thing with energy on the board. I have 1 energy in hand, 1 energy in deck, 1 Fire Crystal in deck. I Guzma'd. Actually, I'm sorry. He knocked out my active Pokemon with a Zapdos, and he had a 3 energy Tapu Koko GX on the bench. That's my bad. So I Guzma'd up the Tapu Koko, and it's either attach an energy and go Outrage for 30, and then if he hits me back, I knock out the Koko, and then I need him not to respond, or he can also get a Nihilego and do like a crazy amount of damage to me since I'm at 2 prizes. I'm sorry, yeah, I was at 2 prizes and he was at 3, not the other way around. So I Guzma'd, and I took about 15 to 20 seconds to think. It was kind of a long, like, final-ish turn kind of thing. Like, from here on, the turns would play out really quickly. And I went to Kiawe, a Fire Energy, to my Reshi active to save the 1 in my hand to use with Heat Factory, which was out. And after I attached the energy, my opponent had said, oh, you played Guzma this turn as well. So that was a double prize, and I ended up losing because of that. I'm not really sure if I would have won without that, since he did have Nihilego, and he had a Tapu Koko GX, and he had not flipped his GX counter yet. I did only have 1 energy, and then the 1 I illegally searched out with Kiawe, but if I realized the Kiawe, I probably would have attached from hand and then have 2 anyway. So I'm not sure if the GX would have mattered too much, but the Nihilego would have definitely, and also just having a Tapu Koko GX would have definitely mattered as well. So there I am at 3-3. I need 3 more wins to potentially bubble in. Round 7, I played against Kenny Pacala, playing Pico Realm Marshchamp. Game 1, the Marshchamp kind of destroyed me. He's playing 3 Fighting Energy and Viridian Forest and Energy Switches. And then I won the second game, and then the third game, the second game I won. These games I was really tired and kind of frustrated with my play from the last round, so I don't remember too much. But I won games 2 and 3. Round 8, I played against Dan, I believe, Zoro Silvally. I won game 1 pretty convincingly. Game 2, I did not draw too great, and he drew pretty well for a Zoroark deck that got let loose early. And he just set up Silvally's and ran through me with that. And then game 3, my let loose really stuck pretty hard. Round 9, I'm 5-3, so if I win, I go into the needing good resistance, which I'm pretty sure I had. Versus Henry Brand playing the Zorogong Nagana LGX that Stefan won the tournament with. I made it pretty rough for him both games with let looses and just Guzmaning things and knocking them out at the right time. Game 1, I believe, only lasted 5 turns max, because I Guzman up Azarua every time he put one down. And I knocked it out with, I think, Argent Wing or what's Reshiram's attack? Scorching Breath. Game 2 was very long, and we actually got down to Stinger GX. But I didn't knock out the Pokemon he had active, since I had 6 damage counters on a Marshadow and 6 damage counters on a Jirachi. If I had, he would then discard the Tina from his hand, so he could Distortion Door to its bench and take 2 prizes there, and then take his last prize with Dugong or Zoroark. I had other 1-prizers on the board as well. So I had to kind of wait it out, and he was at, after he Stingered, I think he had 1 to 2 cards in deck. But then I knocked out the Naganadel, putting me at 3 and him, me at 1 prize and him at 3. But on the same turn I knocked out the Naganadels, I also switched into Miltank and weldered to my Jirachi and attached for turn to my Marshadow, then switched out to the Reshi. So I effectively had no damage, I believe, on the board, so he couldn't really clean up in just 1 turn. So that's how that went, and I ended up getting 61st in my seed and top 1 and 120th overall. So very happy with that, and that is the deck I chose to play. Sorry the tournament report got kind of long-winded. I just kind of went on about it, so if you're still here, thanks for listening to that. I decided to play this deck because I thought it was safe for points, and it ended up being safe for points. I definitely did not think this had what it took to win the tournament. It just has too much obvious stuff about it and too much variance involved with the let looses and whatnot, but I was pretty positive I could squeak out 6 games with it in that big of a tournament, and I ended up being correct, and I got there. So thanks for watching, and do look forward to a lot of post-rotation content coming up on the channel. Be sure to check out flipsidegaming.com and use code CELIO, all caps, for 10% off of your next order, $10 or more. You get to save some money, and it also helps me out a lot when you use my code there. I'll see you next time here on Celio's Network.